I like to start off this by reading Shemot 23:13, which is none other than what's translated as Exodus 23:13. And we go down to the 13th verse here. And it reads, Wabakol ashar amarti Elohim teshamaru washem Elohim akarim el takzakaru la la yashama al fik or al peak or piak or payak for pay mouth. Again, I'll read that again. That is Wabakala Ashar Armaratu Elohim Tashamaru Washam Elohim Akarim La Tazakaru La Shama La Yishama Al Pehak. What this is basically saying here is saying that, and in all of the thing, it said it basically by your call, right? By call is and in all. Why is and ba is in call, and in all Asha Amaratu Elohim. And basically, this is all that I am saying. Amarati is that I will say. All that I will say. In all that I will say. Who is the I? It's Elohim. So this is saying in all that Elohim will say. Ta shamaru, right? Which is that it's telling you that basically telling you not to keep the names of other from Washam, name, Elohim, right? Teshamaru is keep, right? It's telling you don't maintain, don't keep, don't protect, right? Washim, the names, and the names of Elohim, Akarim la ta Zakaru, which is telling you don't even mention and bring to memory the name the name of other Elohims, and don't even let it be said, which is Allah Yashama al Payak, which is don't even say it out of your mouth. Don't bring the name of other Elohims to your memory. He said, don't even let it be said out of your mouth. So I like how we look at these root words, right? You see the word shamar as in tashamaru, right? You see how we got that prefix ta, then shamar, which is the word, then ru, the suffix. It got a prefix and a suffix. Shamar is the root word, tashamaru, right? And I like that other word right there that has the same prefix, the ta and the u, which is zakar. A shamar means to keep or to protect, like it's in to keep the law or to protect the law, to hold and to maintain, that's shamaru. Then you got tazakaru, which is the root word zakar, right? It's memory, right? Or to remember. So tasagaru, ta is like future tense, right? Masculine, and ru is plural, meaning like you all, like the multitude of people remember, or to have memory of. That multitude of people was Israel. He was telling them to don't even bring to these other, the akar, root word akarim is plural, the other Elohims, right? Don't even bring them to memory. Don't even let it be said coming out of your mouth, their names, right? From Washam, right? So we see the word la tazikiru from the root word zakir, la tazikiru, and ru makes it plural at the end. So la tazikiru was telling you don't even like bring it to your memory. It's talking to the group, of Israelites. Okay, and la yi shamar al piak. It don't even mention it out of your mouth. So this translation over here is concerning all that I have said to you. Ye shall beware of the name of the gods of others. You shall not even mention them. It shall not be heard through your mouth. That later became translated into the Anglo-English translation, Exodus 23:13. And it became translated as this: and in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, beware, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither shall it be heard, neither let it be heard out of your mouth. In the Hebrew text, it said Elohim. Notice how it went from the Hebrew text Elohim to other gods. It was Elohim Akarim, remember? And in English, it is other gods. Remember, Elohim Akarim was translated into other gods. Keyword gods. That's important because that will be the focus in the word that we will focus on here. And make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of your mouth. The same Anglo-English translation of Isaiah 42:8. Actually, this is the American Standard Version, but it's still Anglo. But it's not the KJV. It says, I am Jehovah, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise unto graven images. As we read Psalms 83:18, it reads, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Jehovah, art the most high over all the earth. Now, that came from the original Hebrew text that reads like this: Wayidayo ki ata shamiak Yahovah ladiak Elion el kol haaretz. Notice that he said, let them know that your name alone is Yahweh, most high over all the earth. Notice that the English is God, and in Hebrew, it was Yahweh and Elohim, or Yahuwah and Elohim. Showing you how in the Hebrew Bible, the word G-O-D is not there. They use words like Lord, right? But not words like God. Well, the King James Version used words like God and Jehovah, where the English text use words like Elohim and Yahweh. You see there? That's Elohim. Have you noticed that the word God is not written one time in the Hebrew text? Have you noticed that the word God is not written one time in the Hebrew text or in the translation of the Hebrew text in the Hebrew text? Well, I take that back. I'm looking at the translation that I'm have here, which is from Kabbalah.org. And in this particular, I usually read from JPS, and the word God is not written in JPS. But I stand corrected. In this particular translation, the word God is there in translation. But still, there's something to learn from that, because the lesson to be learned is about who translated this, right? Why they translated it, how they translated it, you know what I'm saying? And what was the intent behind these translations of these translators? Now, I want y'all to take a look at the name of this video game right here, right? Gothic, Got, right? Now, hold on to that. We'll get off into that a little bit later. The most important thing to note here is that in the Hebrew text, the word God is not there. And that has become a translation, right? But the Hebrew text, they had no idea of a concept of God. The English word God comes from the Old English God, which itself is derived from the Proto-Germanic Guden. Its cognates in other Germanic languages include Goth, Gudis, both Gothic, and God. You see that the Old English word God comes from the Proto-Germanic Guden. In itself, it is a cognate of other Germanic languages, including Gud, Gudis, which is both Gothic, Gud, right, which is Old Nordish, God, Old Saxon, Old Frisian, and Old Dutch, and Got, G-O-T, Old High German. So we look up the etymology of the word, the Proto-Germanic meaning of Guden, and its etymology is uncertain. But it is generally accepted that it derives from the Proto-Indo-European neuter passive perfect participle, gutam. I'll repeat that. It is generally agreed that it is derived from the Proto-Indo-European neuter passive perfect participle, gutam. This form within the late Proto-Indo-European itself was probably ambiguous and thought to derive from the root gil, to pour or to libate. The idea survives in the Dutch word giet, meaning to pour. Look at that word there, giet, right? In Sanskrit, huta, see hutra, or from a root gil or gil, to call or invoke. The Sanskrit huta having been sacrificed from the verb who, sacrifice, but a slight shift in translation gives the meaning one to whom sacrifice is made. And then you have gout. Notice that you have the consonants here is GT or GD, right? Or GOD, GUD, right? Gouda, Goudan, right? Gutam, gout, right? Get, right? A significant number of scholars have connected this root with the names of three related Germanic tribes: the Goths, the Goths, and the Gutars, right? A significant number of scholars, remember that, have connected this root with the names of three related Germanic tribes: the Goths, the Goths, and the Gutars. These names may be derived from an eponymous chieftain, Goat or Gout, who was subsequently deified. He also sometimes appeared in early medieval sages as the name of Odin, or one of his descendants, a former king of the Goths, or the Gut, or the Gauts, or the Gauti, right? Or the Gauti. Remember that. The Goths or the Gauti, right? And the ancestor of the Gutar, or the Guti, right? The Guti of the Goths, the Goths, and of the royal line of Wessex, the Geats, and as a previous hero of the Goths, the Caps. Then we have Wodeness, some variant form of the name of Odin, such as Lombardic Odin, may point in the direction that the Lombardic form actually comes from Proto-Germanic Goldenes. Wodeness or Wodeness is as a reconstructed Proto-Germanic name of the god of Germanic paganism, known as Odin. You see that? There it goes again. In Norse mythology, Wotan in Old English, Wotan or Wotan in Old High German, and Godan in the Lombardic language. Godan was shortened to God over time and was adopted, retained by the Germanic people of the British Isles as the name of their deity, in lieu of the Latin word deus, used by the Latin-speaking Christian church after conversion to Christianity. During a complex Christianization of the Germanic tribes of Europe, there were many linguistic influences upon the Christian missionaries. One example, post-downfall of the Western Roman Empire, are the missionaries from Rome led by Augustine of Canterbury. Augustine's mission to the Saxons in southern Britain was conducted at a time when the city of Rome was a part of the Lombardic kingdom. Let me repeat that. Augustine's mission to the Saxons in southern Britain was conducted at a time when the city of Rome was a part of the Lombardic kingdom. The translated Bibles which they brought on their mission were greatly influenced by the Germanic tribes they were in contact with, chief amongst them being the Lombards and the Franks. The translation for the word Deus of the Latin Bible was influenced by the then current usage by the tribes for their highest deity, namely Wotan by the Angles, which is the English, right? The Saxons, the Anglo-Saxons, right? The English, and the Franks of northern, central, and western Europe. All of these are Germanic people. And Guden by the Lombards of South Central Europe around Rome. There are many instances where the name Guten and Wotan are contracted to God and Wad from Woden or Godin, right? Or Odin. One instance is the wild witch hunt, aka Odin's wild hunt, where Wad was used. The earliest usage for the word God in Germanic writing is often cited to be the Gothic Bible or the Walfiller Bible, which is the Christian Bible as translated by Orpheus into the Gothic language spoken by the Eastern Germanic or Gothic tribes. The oldest part of the Gothic Bible, contained in the Codex Argenteus, are estimated to be from the 4th century. During the 4th century, the Goths were converted to Christianity largely through the efforts of Bishop Warphalos, who translated the Bible into the Gothic language in Nicolis ad Istrum in today's northern Bulgaria. The word Gouda and Gud were used for God in the Gothic Bible. And Gouda, as we read earlier, right here, where it says here in the second to the last sentence, where Wotan or Goten was contracted to Goda and God, right? It went from Golden to Godan, Godan to Goda to God, right? And when we look at, depending on whether it was High Germanic and Low Germanic, it was called Got. Now let's look up the etymology of this word God. The etymology of God, Germanic, Old English God, Dutch God, and German is Gott. God comes from the word Gott. Go to online English etymology. Also God, right? Old English God, supreme being, deity from Christian, God, images of God, godlike person from the Germanic Gutan, right? Source also of Old Saxon, Old Frisian, Dutch God, right? High German Gott, German Gott. So High German is Gott with one T. Low German is God, or German is God. And Old Norse is good, right? Gothic is good, which is of certain origin, which is of uncertain origin, right? Perhaps pie, right? From gut, right? Gut, right? From gut, the Guti, right? That which is invoked, source of the Old Church Slavonic Zovo, to call, right? Then you got the root word Gale, to call. And you see right here where it got but traced back to the pie, right? Pre-Indo-European, that's what pi is. And it's guto, right? Look at that word, gut, right? Now I want y'all to notice something. In the old writings, they basically wrote in what was called abjads, where the consonants was very important. Notice that the consonants never changed. It was the GT, the GD, right? GD, GT, right? Guti, right? Got, right? Guto, right? Gutham, right? Gotham, right? Guti, Got, Gothic. Is there any more in here? Or we can get out of there. So we're going to look up the etymology of Goth, right? Look at Goth here, right? Gutiuda. Goth come from Gutiuda. Gutoi, right? The Gati, right? The Gota. Gota, Goda, right? Gothic, right? Goth. All of these words are cognates, people. Let's look up Gotham. Gotham or New York City or whatever, but we want to know the etymology, right? Not the origin of the actual word itself, but the etymology, what language it came from. Well, we already saw that Gotham, we already saw that it was already a part of there, so they're going to tell us here, the Gotham, like where it actually came, like in usage form, and it's not going to tell us actually where it came from. But it has something to do. A lot of us would equate Gotham to New York City in Batman, which it was first used by Washington Irving in the Saw Magandi, right? In 1807, based in the Merry Tales of the Madman of Gotham in 1460, a collection of legendary stories of English, Anglo, right? Settlers, Germanic, right? Alternately wise and foolish. There is a city of this name in Nottinghamshire, originally Gotham, in 1086 in Old English, right? Now there's a city called Gotham, right? Okay, now this is Gotham. Now we're going to show you how these people, wherever they went, they were known as the Goth, the Guti, the Gutians, and their land was called Gotham and Gutium, right? And Gutian, right? So let's go back to this. We look at the Gutians, right? The Gutian rule of Mesopotamia, right? The Gutians was a line of kings originating amongst the Gutian people, originally thought to be a horde that swept in and brought down Akkadian and Sumerian rule in Samaria. The Gutians are known now to have been in the area for at least a century by then. By the end of the Akkadian period, the Sumerian city of Adad was occupied by Gutians, who made it their capital. The Gutian dynasty came to power in Mesopotamia near the end of the 3rd millennium BC, after the decline of the fall of Acadia. How long Gutian kings held rule over Mesopotamia is uncertain, with estimates ranging from a few years up to a century. The end of the Gutian dynasty is marked by the secession of Uruk, the ruler Utu Hengel, marking the following short-lived 5th dynasty of Uruk, followed by ruler of Namu, and the founder of the 3rd dynasty. Now, remember seeing the second sentence here where it said, originally these Gutans were thought to be the horde that swept in and brought down the Akkadian and Sumerian rule in Mesopotamia, right? Now we look up the Gutian people. Notice that word, the Guti, right? Also known by the derived exonyms Gutians and Gutians, were a people of the ancient Near East. Their homeland was Gutium. Gutium, Gotham, right? This is first thing, it was Gotham. From Gotham, wherever they went, they changed it to with them and they took it with them. Just like they had York in when they were in Europe, and they brought it to the Americas as the New York. And they had Amsterdam, and then they brought it to the Americas as the New Amsterdam. They had England, and they brought it to the Americas as the New England, the New Anglo, right? All right, I'm just getting y'all started here. Okay, now as we can see, the Acadia, you got Sumer, right? And then just right over the Tigris, you have Gutium, right? Gutium. It said an inscription dated to 2130 BC, mentioning the Gutians. It's called the Lagolanatum. Prince of Umma built the Gerdu Scepter Temple at Umma, buried his foundation deposit, and regulated the orders. At that time, Siyum, Siyum was king of Gutium. The name. See Gutium up there? Right next to Zakara and Awan and Elam, just above Elam, right? Now I want to show y'all something here. Elam, Gutians. Remember that. Elam Gutians. I'm going to get to that a little later. As we can read here, it said conflict between the Gutians and the Akkadian Empire has been linked to the collapse of the empire. Towards the end of the 3rd millennium BC, the Guti consequently overran southern Mesopotamia and formed the Gutian dynasty of Sumer. The Sumerian kings list suggests that the Guti ruled over Sumer for several generations following the fall of the Akkadian Empire. By the 1st millennium BC, usage of the name Gutium by the people of the lowland Mesopotamia had expanded to include all of Western Media. Important. Between the Nagros and the Tigris, various tribes and places to the east and north were often referred to as Gutians and Gutium. For example, Assyrian royal annals used the term Gutian in relation to populations known to have been Medes and Manians as late as the reign of Cyrus the Great of Persia. The famous general Gabrius was described as governor of Gutium. Okay, now I'm going to show you something here. Read this. It says, little is known of the origins, material culture, or language of the Guti, as contemporary sources provide few details, and no artifacts have been positively identified. As the Gutian language lacks a text corpus, apart from small proper names, its similarities to other languages are impossible to verify. The name of Gutian king suggests that the language was not closely related to any language of the region, including Sumerian, Akkadian, Hurrian, Hittite, and Elamite. Most scholars reject the attempt to link Gutian king names to Indo-European languages. We can see here the Guti from the 25th to the 23rd century BCE. Take a look at this here. Look at that image, right? They were conquerors, warlords, chieftains, right? Back on out of there. King Anabanini of Lullaby, holding an axe and a bow, tramping on a foe, right? 2300 BC to 2000 BC. The Gutians were close neighbors, hardly to be distinguished from the Lullaby. Say the Gutian appear in texts from old Babylonian copies of inscriptions ascribed to Lagol and Mundi around 2500 BCE, and Adab, and amongst the nations providing his empire tribute. These inscriptions locate them between Sabaratu in the north and Mahashi and Elam in the south. Now we're talking about from 2500 BC to really about 2300 BC to 2000 BC. This is when they ruled, these Gutians, right? All right. Now keep that in mind. From 2500 to 2300 BC. Now, as we read earlier, they said that the scholars did not know who these Gutian people were, where they come from, what their language were. But that's kind of crazy because the Guti people all follow the Gothic people, and the Gothic people all follow the Germanic people, right? And all you got to do is follow who the Germanic people is, people. So at this point, the Gutians, now we have to go to figure out what the scholars don't know. Now we have to go to the older stories. Let's go to the Bible. All right, Genesis, the 10th chapter. Now these are the generations of the son of Noah: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Medea, Javan, Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer: Ashkenaz, Rikpah, and Togarmah. Now, what I want you to know here is that this man right here, Gomer, he is the progenitor of the Gutians. He is the progenitor of the Goths. He is the progenitor of the Gothic people and the Gothic the eponymous ancestor of the Gotham city. We will prove that because Gomer is the progenitor of the Germans. He is the progenitor of Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz is German. Rikpah and Togarmah. All of those people are the Germanic tribes that came up out of Germany. Okay, now it's going to surprise you who these people are today. Why these scholars keep acting like they don't know who these people are. What kind of scholarship are these people doing? Let's go, people. So let's look up Gomer in the Table of Nations. So we look up Gomer here, right? Gomer, right? Gomer, the oldest son of Japheth, and the father of Ashkenaz, Ripah, Togarmah, according to the Table of Nations. He's the eponymous Gomer, right? Which means standing for the family. We read that as the compiler of the Jewish Encyclopedia expressed it, because he is the oldest son of Japheth. Gomer is the oldest son of Japheth. Remember that now. And this is where you get European and white supremacy coming up out of that line and that branch. They feel entitled for this particular reason because these people go all the way back in history. It is mentioned in the book of Ezekiel 38:6 as an ally to the Gog and the chief of the land of Magog. The Hebrew name Gomer refers to the Sumerians. Notice how the word Gomer. Now, remember how I told you how abjads work. You focus on the consonants, and the C and the G is interchangeable, like Aleph, Bet, Gamel, Aleph, Bet, Camel, Camel, Gamel. See, it's interchangeable, right? So the name Gomer refers to the Sumerians who dwelt in what is southern Russia beyond the Caucasus and attacked Syria in the late 7th century BC. The Assyrians called them the Gomarii. The Sumerian king Teushpa was defeated by Ashurhadan of Assyria between 681 and 668 BC. Now we have record of the Sumerians, right? And we notice that they are Germanic people, just like the Gutians were. Remember how he talked about how the Gutians, when they sacked and ran Assyria, how they clicked up with all of the other brother tribes, which were none other than his brother tribes, which were they called Ashkenaz, Rikpah, and Togarmah, right? He clicked together, all of them brothers became together, and they all bed up under the Gomari tribe, the Sumerians and the Gutians. These people were known as. The Hebrew name Gomer refers to the Sumerians, right? Let's see who the Sumerians were. The Sumerians were ancient Eastern Iranian equestrian nomadic people originating in the Caspian Sea, part of whom subsequently migrated into West Asia. Although the Sumerians were culturally Scythian, they formed an ethnic unit separate from the Scythian proper, to whom the Sumerians were related and to whom displaced and replaced the Sumerians. They're the Sumerians. It's telling you that the Sumerians were related to the Scythians. You see how afterwards, how all of these Japhethite tribes start banding together, right? These were the people who became later on in history as your Europeans. I'm talking about way later in history as of today. These people, the Sumerians, the Gomerites, the sons of Gomer, the sons of Japheth, the sons of Germany, the Gutians, the Gutham, the Gutians, the Gothics from Gotham, the Gutians from Gutium. Galatia was an ancient area in the highlands of central Anatolia, roughly corresponding to the province of Ankara and Ekinisir in modern Turkey. Galatia was named after the Gauls from Thrace, who settled there and became a small transient foreign tribe in the 3rd century BC, following the Gallic invasions of the Balkans. It has been called the Gallia of the East. We talk about these Galatian people, right? We see here, it says Josephus related the biblical figure Gomer to Galatia, or perhaps to Gaul in general. The former founded those whom the Greeks now call Galatians, the Gauls, right? The Gauls. But were then called Gomerites. Others have related Gomer to the Sumerians. Now, the Sumerians became later, they went from Gomer, right, to the Qumri, right? To the Qumri and the Guti were the same people. And we can see that because they were the progenitors of the Germanic people. The Qumri and the Guti were the same people. The Qumri and the Guti were the same people. And the Qumri were the Gomari, the people of Gomer, who later became the Gauls, the Galatians, from whom the book of Galatians was written of in the Bible. These were the Galatians. And there's other Israelite groups from the quote-unquote BHI movement, and they're saying that these Galatians were Gentiles and that these Gentiles were Israelites. I'm telling you that these Gentiles were Galatians, and the Galatians were the Sumerians, and the Sumerians were the sons of Gomer, and the sons of Gomer were the Gutians. This is what I'm saying. So these Galatians, later on through history, after Rome collapsed, and they stayed known as the Galatians, the Christian of Galatians. They were the Christians that were converted by the Apostle Paul, and the New Testament Christians, the early Jews, had converted these Europeans, the Galatians, to Christianity. And as the rise of the Roman Empire in the 3rd century, they became the first under Catholicism, right? Because they were already had a book attributed to them that was attributed to them already in the Bible. So they were solid. They were solid even in the text as Christian. And then Rome collapsed. And when Rome collapsed in the 4th century, when Rome collapsed, was it 4? I forget, somewhere 400 something. Will Rome collapse in the fifth century? Because I think they called the 400s the 5th century. When Rome collapsed then at that point, Attila the Hun was very instrumental in the collapsing of Rome, because it was these Germanic people that had toppled the old Rome, the old pagan Rome. The sons of Kittim, the sons of Gomer came in, and after they done toppled all of the empires coming from east to west, they toppled Iran, they toppled Persia, they toppled China, right? They toppled all of those areas. These Gutians, they were known, they were warmongers, right? Warlords and chieftains. They toppled these areas, and then they came into Rome, and then they defeated the Kittims, the sons of Kittim, and then they dominated, and then they made Christianity the legal religion. It was not the Kittim that accepted it was not the Kittim that accepted Christianity. It was Emperor Constantine, which was a German. Germ overthrew Rome from within. And then when Germany overthrew Rome from within, they dominated through Christianity, and then it collapsed because Attila the Hun came in and toppled Rome. And he ran and pushed all of the Christians, because that's what they were called now. This was before we ever heard of a Europe, because so we can't call them Europeans. We can't call them Gomerites. We can't call them Sumerians and Gutians now. Now they became known as Christians. Okay? And he came and pushed all the Christians to the Western Hemisphere. And this is how the Gauls end up in Spain, and attacking Spain and overthrowing Spain. All this stuff happened around the 4th century when they came into Britain and attacked Britons as the Anglos, the Saxons, the Jutes, the Burgundians. What I am telling you about this word God, this word God goes back to none other than the ancestors of European people and the European race. So truthfully, the word God is synonymous to white supremacy. Odin has many names and is the god of both war and death. Half of the warriors who die in battle are taken to his hall of Valhalla. He is the one-eyed All-Father who sacrificed his eye in order to see everything that happened in the world. He has 2 sons, Balder by his first wife Frigg and Thor by Jorad. Now we can see here, they call him the one-eyed father of all, and see how he is the father of all. They called him Odin, the father of all. They called also Gomer, the father of all. He was the father. Odin and Gomer are the same people. They were warlike people. This is why they had, everywhere they went, they was involved in wars. They've been behind all the world wars that we can attest for. These are the sons of Gomer. The very word God itself traced back to Odin. And this is the reason why the Most High of Israel told us to be circumspect and not to mention the name of other deities out of our mouth, the name of other gods out of our mouth, the name of other Elohim, Elohim Akraim, Elohim Akraim. La Elohim Akrahim, no other gods. Elohim la'akra, no other gods, no other deities, no other powers should we mention from our mouths. And these Europeans have taken the scriptures and supplanted the children of Israel. Scriptures, story, and saga, and fused it with that of the Gutian and that of the Gentile. And this is why God of Christianity is the God of the world, and God, the people of God, has supplanted the people of Yahweh. And the people of God, the Gouda, the Guti, the Gutians, are still in power in world dominance today. And this is why you have your secret societies, your Ashkenazi, peep in the game, the name remains the same. What does it say? The name is changed, the game remains the same. That's how it goes. The name is changed, but the game remained the same. Ashkenazi, then they took the Ashkian off and just became Nazi. And the Nazis were the head and the leaders, the Third Reichs, Masonry, and fraternal orders, and the German Illuminati. Now we understand why the Apostle Paul wrote about these Corinthians and these Galatians and these Romans, and he said this in favor of them. He said, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into the angel of light. And no marvel, for even Satan fashioned himself into an angel of light. No wonder, since Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. And it is no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades himself as an angel of light. All of the translations shows you how Satan himself has masqueraded himself as the angel of light. And he has done it through your religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. All of these religions were founded by Black African people. And today they are led and ran by the Gutian sons of Gomer, sons of Ashkenaz, sons of Togarma. Is not Ashkenaz the son of Gomer? So we see here that the Corinthians spoke a Doric Greek language, meaning that they were descendant from Javan, the Ionians. So we have here that the Corinthians were Greeks and the Galatians were the Gutians, the Gomerites, sons of daughters of Gomer. And Odin himself, we see, was none other than Gomer himself. So you have the Ashkenazi, the Gomer, Ashkenaz, Rikpa. You see, all of these tribes today turn out to be none other than your Germanics, your Russians, and some of your Russians, because some of the Russians are Magog, right? And some of them are Gomer. And these Russians, it has a lot to do with a fight that's been going, the Ukraine fight between Russia, Ukraine, and America is none other than an ongoing fight that has been going on for thousands of years. Because Ukraine, which actually in the Russian language means the curtain, the doorway to Russia, right? The Ukraine was actually originally a Gomerite people, a Sumerian people. They were the people who first ruled over that area, and it was a back and forth dominance over the actual land of Russia who would run it between the Russians and the Germans. The Germans have always sat had ruled in they ruled in Russia first, right? Before they even was in Germany. So it was a back and forth squabble, and it was said that the actual in history that the actual Germans actually defeated the Russians, okay, and overthrew Russia, and that the people that's over in Russia today are actually Gomer's descendants, which means that Gomer's descendants are in ruling position all around the world. And they are what you call your Trilateral Commission League of Nations. And these League of Nations is what has always caused your world wars. World War I and World War II was caused by these League of Nations. Now I'm done. Hit that like button, share, subscribe, comment, and hit that Cash App. $ capital Y, lowercase ASHA, capital B, lowercase EN, capital YISHRAEL. Peace, shalom, I'm out. Are Gutians used to represent the Sumerians and Akkadians? Oh, quite sure they are. Most of those European people that they try to tell you were the leaders of those old worlds, they were. But they were the Gutians and not the original Akkadians and not the original Babylonians and not the original Sumerians, because all of them were Semites and Hamites, which were black people. Gutians. Images of Gutians. More Gutians. More Gutians. More Gutians. We see the white Assyrians taking the black Israelites into captivity. As you can see, these people have been following us and been lording over us for thousands of years. As you can see, these are another Semitic tribe, Elamites. They're black. This is a Babylonian. This is not a European or a Gutian. This is a Hamite. As you can see, these men are not Gutians. They are Hamites. So you can see if the reliefs of the old world, only the people of Japheth were the people of fair skin.